What up guys, your boy This, and we're back with another one. Now today I'm going to go over a build that I've been using to climb up in the nightmare dungeons. So far I've been able to complete an 89. In the video I will show a 90, but I have not beat a 90 with this build yet. I feel like maybe if I had some help with some other teammates or something, maybe I could do it, but this is a solo build. So as you can see, we're using the Hoda, and we're not getting the biggest numbers you've ever seen with the Hoda, and that's because I've completely spec'd into damage reduction and defense. I wanted this to be as tanky as possible. I need resistances. I need to be able to climb the ladder a lot easier, and I was tired of getting one shot from 70 up, so I switched a lot of things around just so you can be a tanky player and still put out the damage, because Hoda hits hard regardless of how you build it. Now what you're currently watching right now is me attempting a level 90, and I chose to use this footage because this character has 0 poison resist on the build, and we're still tanky enough to withstand a lot of hits from a lot of these little creatures in this area. Everything hits us that has poison on it, so you can see that we're doing quite well with it until we fight bosses like this. Let's go ahead and get into that build, guys. All right, getting into it real quick. Still taking lunging strikes, and I went into combat just to have more damage whenever we berserk. So anytime we crit, we berserk. You don't need this point. If you don't want it, you can get rid of it and put it somewhere else. This is a Hoda build. This is just the way to go for Hoda, in my opinion. You don't have to, but this is a Hoda build. Still taking pressure points. I think it works very, very well. If you don't want these here, you can definitely get vulnerability somewhere else, but that's just kind of easy vulnerability to get there. Now, from the last video, this is what has changed. I have put 1.1.1 point in all of these now. Originally I had these pretty much maxed out. I've changed it to get the passives. Now I do have gear that allows me to get more points here, but these are all 1 a piece through here. And the reason I did that is so I can get better passives on this build, because I'm trying to be as tanky as possible. As you can see, we took this down here as well just to get more damage reduction when we're shouting. Also, I put points here 1 and 1 just to get to this so it can spread the thorns around like a bleed, and what that's going to help us do is proc our disobedience constantly. That way we have more damage reduction, up to 75% more damage reduction just from having that alone and the passive of disobedience. Still taking this just for more fury while berserking. Just makes sense to me. You don't need this if you don't want it. I think it's great. Still taking pit fighter just for more damage and damage reduction, and I've put more points here now. Now I didn't have points here in the last video. This just gives us more damage reduction while we're fortified. I feel like it works really great if you're doing like a fortified build, which this pretty much is. And then we still have this just because we have 12% increased damage while fortified, so I feel like these synergize very well together. And then moving down, I'm still taking ultimates. You don't need an ultimate on this build. I like this ultimate. This is what I'm running right now, just because it gives me a bit of a speed buff. When I'm using my hammer of the ancients, I can hit much faster, and I'm getting fury back, and they're slowing enemies and stunning enemies. I feel like it works really well with this, but you don't need it all. If you want, you could definitely run this ultimate, or don't run an ultimate at all. Now here, I would highly suggest putting points in this just because it's more damage. I have a piece of gear that allows me to have points in here. If you don't want to put points in here, don't, but it's just more damage. You really want your points here over everything, especially if you're running a hammer build. This makes sense. You definitely want points here, and I only have a couple points here. You can max this out if you want, but I feel like a 30% chance to stun with this and a couple other things I have. It's good enough. I don't really need the whole 45% chance. Now I'm still taking this just because I have no core skill damage on any of my gear, so I want the Hoda to hit a lot harder. I've run crit on everything I'm running right now. I feel like maybe core damage will work better with this build, so I still need to switch that around. And once again, if you don't want to take an ultimate, I highly suggest taking either ground stomp and going this direction, or going iron skin and going this direction. These work very well. They actually help me out a lot in getting higher nightmare dungeons, but when I started doing the bosses, I could feel this a lot more. This helped me so much in boss fights. That's why I'm running this, but these help because I can get out of CCs a lot easier. I have 2 get out of CCs right here, or I can CC targets, and if targets are CC'd, then they're not going to be doing damage to me. So it's really up to you what you want to run here. Just take a quick look at everything I have, and if you don't like anything, just switch it out. You need to make this build your own. This is how I play. I feel like it works very well for me, but if you don't like it, change it. All right, real quickly, I am running more defense now. As you can see, I didn't just go straight up this path. I came over here and brought some of this down. I'm still running territorial here. Just makes sense. You don't have to. You can run whatever you want here, but I like territorial, and I'm still running more defense. Moving up, nothing's changed here from the last video. I'm still running martial. Everything still checks out the way it is. I did take some points out, but nothing too crazy. Still have the armor. And then moving over, I'm still running Wrath. Wrath's still good to me. Could run a couple other things here, but right now I'm running Wrath because I am kind of running a crit build right now to see how well it does. I feel like maybe if I ran core damage, it might be a little bit better, but this is what I'm running. I'm still running Warbringer. It works just because it's a fortified build, and I want to have as much fortify as possible. Now up here, this did change. change. I am running Might. I'm no longer running Imbiber because Imbiber was not doing what I wanted it to do. When I started getting the higher tiers, 75 plus, I was starting to get hit and I wasn't ever at full health. So I feel like Imbiber just wasn't doing what I needed it to do anymore just because I was constantly getting hit hard. So I switched this out to Might and it just gives me a little bit more out of it from what I need. And, we're dealing increased damage while wielding two-handed, but that's not the big reason we're running this. Moving over, I did change this out. I am running Carnage now. I would like to spec into Carnage while Berserk and Critical Strikes increase your attack speed. I feel like that could be cool. Just spam Hoda a lot faster, but I'm okay with what I have built right now. I mainly did this for more damage reduction from enemies that are close. I feel like it works really well now. And then I'm also running this just because we are berserking quite a bit with this build, and it's nice to have a little bit more damage based off that. I'm still running Exploit. I feel like Exploit's great just because it gives you vulnerable damage, so that's really good to have. And then down here, I did switch this out. I'm now running Undaunted. Undaunted makes sense just because it gives us 10% damage reduction, and we're still running Flawless Technique. I have switched some points out because we're still getting damage reduction from close enemies. That's why I mixed it with that up there. But now I've put more points here for 200 plus armor, and if you want, you could take some more points and move them around to where you get another 100 points of armor right here. I feel like armor is huge, and that's what's helping me survive so much. I mean, the damage is there. I just need to survive, And as overall gear, you can go ahead and look at... Wait a minute. I just noticed that they nerfed my Fortify and my Barrier. This was at 36, and this was at like 8,500. When did they do that? Oh my god, this game and its nerfs. I haven't played in like a week and a half, guys, so this is... Jesus Christ. Anyways, we're looking for Max Fury, cooldown reduction if you can. Overall armor or total armor is great to have. Damage reduction, obviously. I don't have the best rolls on everything. Just take what I have here and try to apply it to what you have. As far as the boots here, I am running Ghost Walker still. Now I do switch these out with these because some dungeons have unstoppable targets. So, like midway through the dungeon, you have to do like a little thing. We have to like break like a little mini tower or whatever. So I will switch these out. I'll just keep these constantly switching depending on what I'm fighting. So that's always good to have these backup. You don't need these if you don't want. I got a pretty good roll on the hammer, I think. I'm running the Hoda Quakes Outward. I feel like that's what makes this build. You don't have to run that on the hammer if you don't want to. You can run it somewhere else. And then here, I'm running Expectant on this sword right here. I'm running dual swords for crit, but I'm running Expectant here just because I don't have a lot of core damage on this build, and any little bit of core damage I can get helps, and this really helps against bosses. You don't have to run this here. I still am running Edge Masters, so I would suggest running that, but this, if you want, you can switch it out for literally anything. I would suggest maybe Berserk of Ripping, just so you can put a dot on enemies that you're fighting, and that would help proc this a lot easier. Amulet of Disobedience, just so you can have 75% more armor, uptime of like 100%, just because we're constantly keeping enemies bleeding by having Berserk of Ripping. And now that I just noticed that they nerfed this, I'm probably going to get rid of the barrier and probably get rid of the ultimate that I was using, and then use Iron Skin, and this will give us CC immunity and as well as 25% DR, so that's huge. I'm probably going to switch this out right here, so don't run barrier. I guess that is low barrier too. Why would it give me the lowest? I'm not gonna say and complain about whatever. This game is killing me. As far as the rings, I'm trying to run resource generation, fortified generation, obviously critical strike, damage close, vulnerable, so run what you can here. And I am running an axe. I know that may seem a little weird. I got a really good roll on the axe, so I'm running it. Plus it gives me 84% damage to healthy enemies, and for some reason in my mind, I feel like that helps me one-shot certain enemies. You don't have to run an axe. I would honestly suggest running a two-handed sword. That's where you're gonna get more crit damage and probably more damage overall, but I'm enjoying running the axe, so that's that. All right, guys, that sums it up. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and comment. It helps the channel a lot and helps me out a lot. In the future, I will probably stop playing Diablo 4 because I am sick of the Barbarian nerfs. I have never played a game where one class has been this nerfed this many times. This is insane. But then I forgot I am playing a Blizzard game, and they are the kings of nerfing the fun out of their games. If you're a longtime Blizzard player, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So as far as the future goes, I am probably going to play Remnant 2 when that comes out. I'm a big Dark Souls guy. I've actually been playing Dark Souls and ESO a lot in my downtime, so I haven't been playing this. I have checked out BattleBuilt because I'm a big Battlefield fan, so I might go and play one of those. Or I might check out New World because I just downloaded that from the Steam sales. So, if any of those games interest you at all and you'd like to see content on that, leave it in the comments and I'll do it. Anyways, you guys have a great day and I will see you in the future. Later, guys.